I don't believe white people have to keep their mouth shut. I think white people don't speak up about a lot of the things that they do and they perpetuate that affects us negatively. That's the stuff that nobody wants to, that the issues aren't made about those things. I really respect the platform that you have because you do have open and honest conversations. And I have to say, I don't believe that those numbers about the black people murdering white people are correct. I don't believe those numbers are correct.
What if they are? What if I'm not lying to you?
If you're not, then I've been misled and I've been isolated from realistic numbers. But I know in this country, from the time that we got here and until now, there's never been hordes of black people that just go out and maraud and menace white people.
No.
Now,
what's going on, ARP family? I appreciate you all pulling up this morning, man. I hope all is well. Let's get the show started, man. Please don't forget to hit that like button for us. All right, let's go.
Black fatigue. You guys know what that means?
Since the last time you came, that's become a thing.
Yeah, I was about to say that's just become a recent thing.
And do you know what it means?
I'm not sure what
It's a term that's being used by people in the white community, by and large, again, saying they feel like they've been victimized and they're tired of taking that shit. You know, that was a girl who was dying alone in public. And that was a guy who was let out 14 times. 14 times, including violent crimes in the name of racial justice, right? He didn't have to post bail. He didn't have to appear back in court. This is not the first time he's assaulted someone.
How do we know that was in the interest of racial justice as opposed to just being
because the judge said it.
A fucked up attempt at justice, period.
Yeah.
Like, the legal system has its flaws.
Yeah.
And people have been making complaints about that for decades, right? But that's just, to me, that's a mental health thing more than it's a black and white thing.
Well, I'll tell you why, because white people are saying it now.
Right.
Not just white people are saying, hey, we're in
what makes it a bigger thing.
Well, because, white people are 12 times as likely to be killed by a black person than the other way around. I'm just going to shoot you straight. It's not even close.
Where?
Across the country.
Where? Not in
the United States. I mean, we're not talking about Ghana. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, in white communities or in quote unquote so-called white communities,
across the country, the rate is a black man or person, because most murders men. There are very few female murders. 12 times more likely to kill a white person the other way around. And then you look at the average amount of times that someone in this country is arrested before they're brought in for killing, charged with murder. Do you know how many times they're arrested on average before they murder? 11 times.
Once again, the justice system's got its flaws, and people have been complaining about that for years. We spend more time trying to fix that than trying to complain about the white versus black of it all.
Well, I think, just like I was trying to listen to all communities last time, I think this is something that's unavoidable. If this community, if enough white people get pissed off, they're going, look, we're living in New York now, we're getting killed in record numbers, or Detroit, 12 times the rate. And our system, 3 strikes in California, right? That was a 3-strike policy. The reason that was changed, they said it was racist. Crime went down in black communities 30%. But now people are looking at their cities going, this is a fucking hellscape. And the murder is skyrocketed because people said in the name of racial justice, like, 3 felonies, you're out.
Because crime is crime, right? But crime is usually going to be higher concentrated in areas where there's high poverty. So typically the areas that's high poverty in this country are areas with people with this color skin. So that's why you're going to have that. That's why I said those numbers could be skewed and made to manipulate to look like, oh, yeah, that's why I said
not at 12 times the rate.
Hey, Wise, you know something? I'm glad that you're playing this. That brother said that why do we always blame poverty for crime? When crime is a decision. It's not, I mean, I've been in poverty. I never thought about quitting a crime because I was poor. You see what I'm saying? And we got to stop letting them make these stupid statements. I mean, I grew up in the hood. And I saw a whole lot of people doing some crazy, stupid, dumb things. We were getting food stamps. I never thought about robbing nobody or robbing a store or selling drugs. It's a personal decision. We got to stop letting them them fools use that kind of excuse.
Right. In suburban neighborhoods, white people are not in danger. And that's what this kind of fear mongering tells them, is that you're in danger because you're 12 times more likely to get killed by a black person. You live in fucking ain't nobody coming after you. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody tripping on you. But these people are just as scared as the mother.
They are if they get on a bus.
Not necessarily.
They are if they get on a train.
That lady wasn't in danger because that man was black. That lady was in danger because that man was crazy.
Nope.
That man was mentally insane.
I want to say something in reference to that particular statement, because there was the white woman was sitting in front of him there was a black woman sitting next to him, and there was a black man sitting behind him. He stabbed the white woman. Out of his mouth said, "I got the white girl."
Right.
And he walked away. Now, if he was crazy, he would have got the white girl. He would have attacked the sister right next to him. And he would have attacked the brother that was behind him. He didn't do that. Let's just keep it a buck. That's not what happened. If he was like really that crazy, now I'm not saying that, this brother, the young man didn't suffer from some form of mental health issue. I'm not saying that.
Crazy. He couldn't tell a white person from a black person.
But he could definitely tell the difference.
That's right.
He could definitely tell the difference, because there was a young black woman in the next row, like right next to him.
Excellent.
And he didn't turn his attention to her.
Nope.
He didn't do that.
And can I add
Go for it.
one thing? They're saying black, don't think of it like that. But wasn't there just another man whose daughter, he was just on Congress, oversight hearing, talking about black people, a black man that was was not in jail, and he had committed multiple crimes, and his daughter was murdered in her house when she was in her house sleeping. And it was a black man and a white woman again. And when they keep saying about poor, one of the poorest places is the Appalachians. So I don't understand why we keep saying poverty. Appalachians is one of the poorest places in America. So I don't understand why we keep using that excuse.
It's an excuse. That's all it is. It's an excuse. But let's keep it going.
That man was mentally insane.
But why was he back on
family members? He had his own family members call the hospital to try to get him committed. He told his sister he killed that woman because he thought she was trying to read his mind.
Yep.
That's
why was he let out, though?
And
I'm not saying it's because he's black.
Yeah,
I'm saying people look at it, though. The judge said
part of black fatigue.
He's insane, right? We agree.
That's not a black and white issue.
He was deemed not fit to stand trial, right?
Right.
Now,
He should have been institutionalized.
Right. The IOU policy, meaning you don't have to pay bail. You don't even have to stay here until you're actually convicted. You just say you'll come back.
Right, which is messed up.
Yeah, the judge, Teresa Stokes, black woman, said, well, this is about racial justice. We need to be softer on crime. So that's her reasoning. That's why he was out. And you can find dozens of examples.
That's her misguided reasoning.
And that's policy.
But that's systemic, though, right?
That's not representative of a whole.
It's not. It's not. No, and look, we always have to say not all. Like, not all white people wear MAGA hats and are dumbass pieces of racist shit. But we have all been accused of racism, sexism, misogyny, homophobia. What I'm saying is black fatigue is white people going, you know what? I know I'm not racist. And I know that we're dealing with record crime, and I know that I'm more at risk. And they have negative interactions, and they're constantly told that they're not allowed to voice their fucking opinion because they're white. And if those people get pissed off, like that's where we actually could end up with some kind of, I'm telling you, I see this brewing. I see people who were milquetoast white suburban who are becoming actually racist. Now, not all of them, but I've seen people actually become racist because they get mugged, their store gets looted, and nothing gets done. They're going, and if I say something, it's turned into a racing. I'm telling you what, that's where it's coming from. At what point do we have a talk and go like, okay, let's reform justice, but we have to be honest as to why it was reformed in the first place. This guy, it's not even the only one. It's every 3 days someone's being offed.
Yeah, but at the same time, let's transfer that over to, there's a lot of unsafe things in this world. Like getting mugged by a black person is not the paramount unsafe thing. There's school shootings, there's road rage, there's all of that shit.
Yep.
And the primary people that commit a lot of those are people who don't have this skin.
No.
So if
I appreciate that, Minister. I really do. Wise is picking on me today between the nightmares about Kirk Franklin and my muscle failure in my arm over here. I just want to point out something I've noticed about conversations with anyone on the liberal side of the House. This man is giving him nothing but facts, and he keeps trying to deflect. It's mental health. Oh, who said that? I answered your question. It's the judge. Well, that doesn't really matter. That's just her opinion. Two things can exist at once. Just like Wise just said, you can have a mental health issue, and it does not ignore the facts that you are more likely to get assaulted or killed by a black man. Just both things can be true at the same time. But they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear any of that. And you notice, and I'm going to keep listening to it, every time he rebuts back, it's not factual. It's, well, there's crime everywhere else. Well, what about these poor communities? Well, what about suburbs? I would love to see him say, I hear what you're saying with that statistic. Here is something else that might go against that is also quantifiable and measurable as opposed to feeling based.
Good point.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's always but white people. It's always that. It's always, but white people do this. And when you start talking about road rage, everybody Hey, there is not a demographic in the country that doesn't have some road rage issues. I mean, we've seen them all. White people, Hispanics, black folks. We've seen the road rage thing. Now, when you start talking about the school shooter situation, okay, I'll give them that. When you start talking about maybe some of these, random, mass shootings out there, I'll give them that. But when you think about like mass shootings in general, you could look at that on both sides too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we talk about, the ones that are just quote unquote random, but I mean, we just talked about a shooting that was up in Philly, not too long ago. That was mass. And the shooting out in Memphis that was in broad daylight, 2 dudes just out there just blasting mass. It does happen. It does happen. But go ahead, Celeste.
The problem, let's accept Steven Crowder's premise and definition of Black fatigue. Black fatigue could be easily put in check. It could end by this weekend if Black people would have a full-throated condemnation of it. The problem is not that Black people are aberrant and commit crime. We all can see that, we understand that. The problem is when whites are targeted, like this woman on the train was, we talked about it last week. She was clearly targeted, and she was clearly targeted because she was white. The problem is you leave the rest of the white community to stand there alone and not join them in saying, we cannot have it, we disavow it, and we give a full-throated condemnation of it. If that were to happen, people will be happy to let the justice system play itself out and move on from there. Black people are absolutely adding fuel to the fire of this fatigue, because whenever something happens with Black people, they cannot think of it as an individual. They think of it as a collective. That reflects on me. And because they feel like it reflects on them, the shame of that behavior reflects on them. They cower from it, and they can't come out and say it's wrong because they feel like they're saying I'm wrong. And that's the problem. Black people do not know how, or do not have the strength to be individuals. We want to be a collective. We want to be a group. So when something happens in our group, if it's right, we all take the pride. Elect a Black president, we're all pride. Have a Black Supreme Court justice, we're all proud. No, that's her accomplishment. That's his accomplishment. You didn't do nothing for that. You weren't involved in any of that. You want to steal the pride for things you did not earn because somebody's Black, and you want to run away from the shame for things you did not do because someone's Black. Black people need to grow up and become adults, and part of becoming an adult is understanding you're an individual.
And to add to Celeste, I just want to point out what she said is right, because a lot of times Black people like to take it on. But on the other side, the Black fatigue also comes from how all of a sudden, when you see a Black person harm or kill a white person, all of a sudden there are celebrations. We got our lick back. You're seeing these statements. We got our lick back. You're seeing like Bishop. I forgot that Bishop on X who always, I forgot his name. Whatever his name is, Talbert Swanson, that's out here saying we got our lick back. When what happened with Carmelo Anthony, everyone was cheering it on. We got our lick back. With this girl on the train, they were saying we got our lick back. When you see these things where a black man hits a white man, is beating him down, what happened in Cincinnati, they're like, we got our lick back. So they're not condemning it. So Black fatigue also comes because why are you celebrating the debauchery? Why are you celebrating it?
The celebration of bad behavior it's not a good look. You're absolutely right, Crystal. It's not a good look. And I agree. I want to let it play, and then I'll let you get back in there, Minister.
Switch it over. If Black people say, well, we getting fed up and we tired of all these school shootings and all of these road rage and all that, who do we say something to? Who hears our voice?
And when does the white fatigue kick in?
When does the white fatigue kick in?
Well, we've been hearing about.
I got to stop it for a quick second, because the last time I checked, young white kids that are shooting up the school, they're not just going into random black schools shooting up their schools. Like, what is this dude talking about? That's what that's why when I was watching this dude, I was so frustrated because I kept hearing, but what about the white people? But what about the white people? I'm like, yo, white folks aren't going into the hood shooting up the hood. That's just not happening, man. It's not.
That's the point, right? We've been hearing about it all our lives, about white fatigue, about systemic discrimination.
But nothing's ever been done. That's the problem.
It has been done. Here. That's why we've done systemic justice reform that has led to more crime, right? That's the reason for no three-strike policy. That's the reason for cashless bail. That's the reason for catch and release. The reason for it, in the wake of Black Lives Matter, George Floyd riots, Summer of Love, was we're going to reform crime, we're going to reform the justice system, and it's gotten worse everywhere it's been. And then when white people leave those neighborhoods, well, now it's white flight. If they come in, it's gentrification. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of people who are pissed off, and they're not going to sit down and have this conversation and be real about it. And they're going, well, what happens when someone has to keep their mouth shut about everything?
Nobody tell you have to keep
That's how they feel. That's how they feel.
I don't believe white people have to keep their mouth shut. I think white people don't speak up about a lot of the things that they do and they perpetuate that affects us negatively. That's the stuff that nobody wants to. That the issues aren't made about those things. I really respect the platform that you have because you do have open and honest conversations. And I have to say, I don't believe that those numbers about the black people murdering white people are correct. I don't believe those numbers are correct.
What if they are? What if I'm not lying to you?
If you're not, then I've been misled and I've been isolated from realistic numbers. But I know in this country, from the time that we got here and until now, there's never been hordes of black people that just go out and maraud and menace white people.
Nope.
Now,
This is real. This is not a skit.
No, this is not a skit. This is real. But the thing is that you know how many times I've had people tell me that they don't believe the data. They don't believe these statistics. The data, these statistics, it's lying. So I'm like, if we can't trust the data from CDC, if we can't trust the data, from the U.S. Census Bureau, if we can't trust the data from the FBI, what are we supposed to base our, thoughts and base things on? What are we supposed to do? Are we just supposed to base it off your reality and just say, hey, because you didn't see it, it obviously isn't happening? Like, dude, I'm telling you, you guys got to go and watch this is just a short clip. This whole thing is about an hour long. This is just a short little snippet that I wanted to bring to us to discuss today because I knew, it would, the reaction that y'all had is the exact reaction that I had sitting in my recliner yesterday watching this. I'm like, you can't make this stuff up, man.
You first you want to run up AT's blood pressure. Now you're trying to run up my blood pressure because you're making me want to go all the way off on the tomfoolery that this person is speaking. See, and I've heard people say this and it's so irritating me. They're like, no, because data is racist. Numbers are racist. What? Facts are racist now. We're blaming. Listen, I need black people to understand that black fatigue is a very real thing. You want to talk about white fatigue, but black fatigue is a very real thing. And the thing is, black people don't understand. White people would have nothing to say if it did not trickle over into their life. If you wanted to do all your tomfoolery by yourself and it never affect these white people, they will have nothing to say. If you want to be now, of course, especially the God-fearing white people, they will pray and say that hopefully you get saved and you receive Jesus Christ and you blah, 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 blah. But if your bad behavior stayed in your little circumference and they never have to deal with it, they'll be fine. But this stuff is coming out and affecting them. They can't even eat in a restaurant without a girl jumping on a table and twerking. They can't eat in a restaurant and not have like 5-6 people trying to fight each other and it's rolling over on the table and their children are sitting there trying to eat their food and 2 big men are falling on top of their children as they're trying. Do you not understand why there's black fatigue? Forget black fatigue. This is just ghetto ignorant fatigue because it's just ridiculous. Because as my girl speak your voice first says, and I always agree, that's those black people over there, not those black people over here. They over there. Don't put us together because we all don't think alike.
He's not arguing in good faith because he didn't answer the question. What if the information was true? So if you're just saying the data doesn't matter, fine. Don't ever talk to me about being oppressed still in 2025. I don't believe in your data since you don't believe in mine. Don't ever talk to me again about anything that white people do, because where are you getting that from besides your personal feelings? You cannot have a conversation with someone who says, oh, I see the statistical data in front of me that's been scholarly reviewed and peer reviewed by the actual governing source. Now that can't possibly be real. Then I'm done with the conversation, right? Because nothing you say is going to matter unless you're only looking at data that supports your opinion. That's a childish argument altogether.
And I also think that we have to understand that I told you before, you let them talk long enough, they'll have a moment of sanity. He said, well, maybe I've been deceived. You know, yeah, you've been deceived. You're looking at the wrong stuff. You got no question about that. You should stop there, because that's a fact. But also, so to Colette's point, we have to stop. I think society-wise, because they do statistics, they do lump us into ethnic groups and skin when they evaluate certain things. And I think that we have to stop letting them do things like that, because that's part of the problem. If a person commits a crime, that's a person committing a crime. That's not a black person committing a crime. It's the bottom line. If we got to stop letting them think that way, so I agree with you on that, sis.
Yes, first of all, I'm happy to know I have redeemed myself in the eyes of Minister Denzel. Thank you. I'm glad to be back in good graces. As far as the data conversation is concerned, Steven Crowder, who, by the way, was doing this, if you all remember, even before Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
He's louder with Crowder.
Yeah. Changed my mind. Yeah.
Changed my mind. He's been out there a long time, and I hope he continues to go to the black barbershops, and not just there, but into liberal spaces that are different than the campus. It really is good to see, and so I'm happy about that. But he was brilliant in the fact that he used murder statistics. The reason you use murder statistics is because they're the most reliable. And the reason they're the most reliable is because murder statistics require a body, which can't be denied. When somebody is actually
and a death certificate.
There is a body, it's no longer subjective. So it's the least subjective data point to get, which is why it's very hard to refute, except in a situation like this, when you are dealing with delusional people. And the problem with this gentleman who is, sort of arguing or not arguing, who is evading the point, is that, again, he can't discuss the issue or even understand it dispassionately, because he can't separate himself from the actual behavior and the actions of someone else who's Black. He cannot do it. And this is why in this conversation, which is great because it exposes that, people watching it begin to see this and they say to themselves, well, wait a second now, this doesn't make any sense. The judge said that she was releasing him because of racism. The man who committed the crime, the heinous murder, said he was doing it because he got that white B. So at a point, this is not an argument anymore. These people are saying this is why they are doing this action, and the inability to dispassionately discuss it is actually shows, it is actually revealing, as Crystal says, it is revealing the fact that you can't understand your own environment and what's happening around you because you cannot separate yourself from another Black person. Wow. I am not somebody, if something great is happening with Black people, I'm not somebody who feels a personal pride and joy in that. I'm happy for them. I'm happy that their excellence has been rewarded and seen. And look how hard you worked, and look how hard work achieved this accolade. And when Black people do something heinous, I don't feel a personal shame. I don't have attachment to Black people in that way. I don't walk around and think, oh, somebody's going to think this about me because of something another Black person does. Nobody does that. I'll give you an example. It's like being overweight. If you're overweight and you're in the line at a store and you're buying a candy bar and you're thinking, oh, everybody in here sees me buying this candy bar and they know I have no business eating this candy. Guess what? Nobody cares. Nobody's thinking about you and your kid. Exactly. Nobody even notices it. But because you feel that, You are
Yeah.
projecting all of that onto us, and we have no clue about what you're buying and what's happening with you. Nobody cares. That is a sanity thing.
Actions happen and things do occur. I'm not saying that they don't, but not by and large in number. We can't be this small a percentage of the overall population and still have the numbers that people try to perpetuate on to us. See, black people do more harm to other black people than we do to other white people.
Well, that's true. That's true.
You know, so
because people who are close. That's
and
true.
we also have historical evidence of groups of white people attacking and chasing black people.
So it's
coming after.
So
Like,
when people
we have
say
historical
it's not
evidence
happening
of it.
now.
So when
I'm just saying,
and that's the point. Is we're at a precipice right now.
That's a part of the historical condition.
Well, sure.
They always want to bring up things from like 100 years ago.
Every single
like,
time.
Like that's happening right now.
Right now, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not a big fan of the term black fatigue. I'd prefer it to be, you know, maybe people who are suffering from some form of, you know, demonic possession fatigue, maybe ghetto fatigue, something along those lines.
But someone today.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I wasn't
Big
finished
Mike,
making
go.
my point.
Yeah, sorry,
I wasn't finished making my point. You know, when like I said, black fatigue, that's the newest mantra that's been put out into society to make people think that, okay, they tired of black people. They tired of what you said, that we can't say anything about black people. We can't do. Well, when you hold all the power, when you hold all the economic rights, when you hold all the things that make this country move, when you're in charge of those things, you know what I'm saying? Well, you know what? I put it like this. Black people, white people got the firecrackers, we got the stem. That's it. Y'all got the power. The power is placed outside of the black community. We're charged with all the negative things. Those are the things that are really generally coincide with how people relate to us. The bad stuff that's go wrong with this world is the black people's fault. We the smallest part of this country. Remember that. You know what I'm saying? Beside the immigrants that come here, we have been tasked with the negative, the criminal, the immoral. That's us. And that's what we consider, that's white fatigue. But you know what we do? We just say, that's just how it's always been. So we don't make up words for it or terms for it. So now you have a frustrated group of white constituents that feel like, oh, we can't say anything. We have to do this, we have to do that, so you don't be deemed as that. Well, if you wasn't that in the beginning to start with, there would be no need for the reform or the feelings that you have. You can't say anything about, because you done treated us like shit for so long, and people finally stood up and said, hey, you got to stop treating us like shit. Now that you want to feel like, you know, things aren't going in the manner that you want them, now we want the right to keep saying those things.
What if your premise is completely flawed? And what I mean by that is, if we're trying to understand it, you said you have power in all those institutions.
Yes.
What if, for example, you have an entire generation of people, young white men, women, who if they apply to a college or apply to a job, they don't have a grant, there's no Pell Grant, there's no type of subsidy, there's no DEI initiative. As a matter of fact, they're likely to be passed over. They hold no institutional power. And when you say black people haven't done anything, when you think of this white person, a young white person, because I'm seeing some people become radicalized and it can become a problem. Yeah. And then they see billions of dollars and riots and damages all summer long, and then they go, why is this happening? Black Lives Matter, right? So they're going to make that connection. Now they have no institutional power, but if they go into a neighborhood that's largely black, they're going to get the shit kicked out of them. And they're being blamed for something that supposedly their racist forefather did that they have nothing to do with. You think we're ever going to have unity? This is the problem. Unity, if let's say your dad's a or your grandfather's a and you walk up and you slap his teenager, you now have made that person hate you for life. And that's what I'm seeing with not even my generation. Younger people are going, I had nothing to do with this shit. They came up during the riots. They've come up under DEI, and they're seeing a 12-time murder rate, skyrocketing crime, and any proposals they make not holding institutional power.
They have all the power. People will make that argument that they have all the power. When you have governors and mayors and presidents that are black, you know, that's not them having all the power. You know, a lot of cities, they're black run cities that have all black leaders in certain cities. They have the power, and the black people still act the same way. It's not about who has the power.
He said 12 times more likely. He did. So whether or not the black people are a small amount of the population has nothing to do with 12 times more likely. So we can see now that you did not get the 7th grade math, or you're stuck there, because that's where this is the linchpin that this thing is turning on, is that he can't understand the concept of 12 times more likely. And yes, I blame the school for that. But the real problem here is this. People are saying of this whole power dynamic, I can't be racist because racism is power. No, the fact of the matter is, it is not that white people have power. It is that white liberals in their institutions have power. And what they have done to escape accountability and judgment is white liberals have embedded themselves in whiteness, so that people think all whites are the problem. Please, I'm begging you, chat, anybody, tell Steven Crowder to call me. I'll happily go with him. Steven, call me. I'm coming. Call me. What needs to happen is this. We have got to separate out. When people say white people have power, you have to say which whites.
That's right.
When people say white people had slavery, say which whites.
Right.
When they say white people should pay reparation, which whites? Because only whites you're going to find there are Democrats historically and liberals and progressive presently. Stop letting them hide in whiteness and call them out and name them and make them claim it.
Excellent.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And these are the people that historically these folks in that barbershop are supporting. I would put any amount of money on it that they're supporting the white folks that they say are evil, wicked, and demonic. Get in there, Crystal. What are your thoughts?
Excellent.
The only thing I have to say is, listen, they have done a great job in the television by telling a vision and programming these people, because these people, every time if I hear another thing about, well, y'all were chasing black people down the street, you weren't there. Stop doing it. But because every 2 seconds they make a new film or a new TV show about black people being the slave and white people are being the master, this is why forever and a day we keep going around this stupid cycle. As Stephen just pointed out, this new generation has nothing to do with this.
Nothing.
They are being blamed for this. They are tired. I am tired. None of you all picked a bale of cotton, got whipped on your back by the slave master. Stop the foolishness, please. Let it go. Let it go.
Thank you. AT, get in there. I know you want to.
I apologize. I say whenever I have these debates, when someone says something that's wrong, I usually say wrong in my mind, but he was just going so hard I said it out loud. So I agree with Celeste. The education system has absolutely failed them. Get your money back, right? Words have meaning. So when you say that they have all the power, okay? C. Wright Mills talked about the 4 domains of power, right? That word. Let's talk about that. Political, economic, military, and cultural, right? According to Pew Research, we have never seen more black people represented when it comes to politics, like you just said, Wise. Right. Thank you very much. We've never seen more black people represented when it comes to the Fortune 500 suite, right? We're continuing to grow in that area. We've never seen more black people hold the ranks of, how do I say this to civilians? Let's just say officer ranks. There you go. In the United States military. And the last one I should not have to explain when it comes to cultural power. If you want to make an argument how black people don't have cultural power, I need to go back to kindergarten, right? Go ahead and start at the very beginning, try a different school system. Words have meaning. And if you just want to say it, it sounds so exciting. It gets us so hype, but you're wrong. If you can't accept that, then we can't have a real conversation.
And I appreciate you all pulling up, man. If you haven't hit that like button already, please hit that like button for me. If you'd like to support the channel, join the ARP family, buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. But I appreciate you guys pulling up, man. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
We won't stop. I won't quit. Stand for the truth. No counterfeit. Real ones rise. Let the fake ones split. Repent for the lies. Let the